So now let's go ahead and move this original image group over to the different artboards, because this image is going to be in all of them, and all we need to do is just figure out how we're going to adjust them. So what we can do is we can go ahead and duplicate the group. So you can right click on it and you can go to duplicate group, and then we can give it a name. So we'll call this original image Facebook. And then now we just want to move this over into the Facebook artboard. So just click and hold down and you'll be able to drag it. You can see me being able to drag it. And I'm just going to hover and make sure that the Facebook artboard is highlighted all the way around in light blue. If you see just a little tiny box underneath it, you'll drop it below it, but we want it to be in that artboard, so just go ahead and drop it in there. When I do that, you can see that it put the image in there for us, and we'll adjust it and manipulate it in just a minute, but let's go ahead and put these in for Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest with the same method I just showed you. Okay, now we have those images in each one of the artboards that we can edit and manipulate separately. So let's go up to the Facebook, go ahead and click on the Facebook group, the original image Facebook group. And what's happening is now we're working in this artboard. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag this over, and I'm going to zoom in. And you can see we can get almost perfectly zoomed in here. Now I'm going to have to zoom back out in a minute, but you can see this is Facebook's image size at 100%. So this image is a lot smaller than our original image. We want to go ahead and scale this down so that we can see the coffee cup and everything. So you can go up to Edit and then go to Transform and then go to Scale. Or you can use the free transform button. So this button will allow you to scale and rotate and move all in the same turn. And it's with Control T for Windows or Command T for Mac OS. I'm going to click on that. Now we see some of the border lines, but we don't see the whole bounding box. So we might need to zoom out so we can see it. Of course, remember it's a very big image. So just grab one of the corners and start scaling it in. And as you scale it in, it'll keep that aspect ratio for us. Now we're going to just make sure the sides are lined up. We're going to zoom in a little bit, and let's go ahead and move this. Let's scale it a little more, make sure we're touching the edges there. Okay, I clicked out, so it went ahead and saved that scale for me. So I'm going to just zoom in and take a look at this and see how it looks. So we might need to move this around a little bit or manipulate it a little bit in a way. So I'm just going to grab this and see what might look good where it really fills out this image. So do I want to put maybe the information at the top and have the coffee at the bottom, or maybe I move the coffee up a little bit and we'll put a little text box maybe at the bottom here, or maybe side to side. Now we can't go too far side to side because we have this scaled all the way in, and so we'll see a white space, but that's okay because we can create a border too. So maybe we do something like this, and then we have our information over here. And it's all, you know, based on your creativity. Maybe you want to move this over and do something where you have it on this side. We'll start filling in some text and getting everything lined up, but at least for now, we can see the coffee mug in our image. We'll leave it here for right now. Let's just pan on down to Twitter, and let's go ahead and adjust that one. I'm going to hit Control T or Command T. Zoom out until I find my handles here. Okay, let's go down to Instagram. And then finally, the Pinterest graphic. Okay, as you can see, let's do this for a moment. We're pretty much done with the original artboard. We're going to be editing these from now on. So let's go ahead and hide that artboard. We don't really need to see it. And we can just start working on these. So I'm going to go ahead and move Facebook over. I'm going to move Twitter up, Instagram over, and we'll move Pinterest. And this will just make it a little easier for me to work because I'll be able to zoom in and see all of these at one time. Okay, 50% we can almost see everything, but right here at 33% is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and get out of the artboard tool, so I like to turn this back to the move tool because that's usually what I use the most. Let's go ahead and move Facebook down a little bit, move Twitter down, see if we can't get in one more zoom here. Okay, cool. So this is good. I can see everything on my screen, and this allows me to go ahead and start working with these. I guess when I clicked the artboard, it went straight to the artboard tool again. That's okay. Let's go ahead and click the Facebook original image, and I need to nudge that over because it was showing a white line there. So if you don't line it up perfectly, you might need to rescale. If you need to move by single pixels, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard, and it will move those over for you. Now, looking at these different images, you can see how they're going to look differently with the different social media platforms. So with the coffee mug on Facebook going up to the edges, we see the cup nice and large. Same thing with Twitter. But on Instagram and Pinterest, there's a lot more headroom. So on these two, on Instagram and Pinterest, it might be easier to put the text at the top or at the bottom. Whereas on the Facebook, we need to figure out what we're going to do because we might end up covering up some of this unless we maybe do something on the bottom, but we don't really want to cover up the coffee mug too much. So we got to be a little creative and figure out the best way to handle this. One thing that I think I do like in what I did earlier was maybe moving this off to the side and either showing this piece of the mug and putting the information in a box on the right, or we could go to this side and put the box of information on the left. Now this might be a little too big, so I'm going to hit Control T or Command T. I'm going to scale this in because now if I'm not going to use the whole dimensions, I can get more of the mug in here, which is nice. So let's see what it looks like if we do this. Let's find the halfway point here. So that's not too bad. That allows me to see the whole mug, and then I can put the information over here on the left-hand side. Let's do the same thing with Twitter. I'm going to zoom in so we can see this a little easier. And the great thing about this process is you really have control to set this up however you want. I'm going to make these two pretty much identical, but if you wanted to make all four of them completely different, that's fine too. Okay, so what do we want to do with Instagram and Pinterest? I think what we'll probably do is maybe put the information at the top since we have more headroom on these. So let's go down to Instagram and maybe move this down a little bit because I'm thinking that we're going to have a box going across the top thirds here. So let's move these, have them just sit a little lower. I don't want to go all the way to the bottom. I don't like it touching the bottom, but I don't mind having it kind of low so that when we add in our graphics, we got plenty of room up here at the top. So that looks good. Let's go to Pinterest, and we're just going to move this one down. We have a little more play with the Pinterest one. You can see if I go all the way down, we have a lot more headroom. We have more than we have on Instagram. So we can either move it up and have it similar to Instagram, or we can do more text across the top, but that looks pretty good.